Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Tonight, we're diving into the thrilling world of government regulations. Don't worry, it's actually way more interesting than it sounds, especially if you're one of the thousands of businesses that work with the Department of Defense, the folks with tanks and stuff. The DoD has a new proposed rule, and it's kind of a big deal. It's all about cybersecurity, which, let's face it, is something the government should have gotten serious about years ago. But hey, better late than never, right? This new rule is designed to protect sensitive information from hackers, spies, and that weird guy down the street who collects old floppy disks. And if your company wants a piece of those sweet, sweet defense contracts, you better listen up because this rule is coming for you. So buckle up, grab your favorite energy drink, and let's get into the nitty-gritty of what this all means. Because believe it or not, the fate of national security and your business might just depend on it. Let's start with the basics. The DoD's new cybersecurity framework is called CMMC 2.0. No, it's not a new dating app or a boy band from the 2000s. CMMC stands for Cybersecurity Maturity Model Certification. Catchy, right? Basically, it's a set of standards designed to make sure that any company handling sensitive government information has the proper security measures in place. Because, as we've learned from countless data breaches, sometimes a strong password and a dream just aren't enough. Now, CMMC 2.0 is specifically concerned with two types of information, FCI and CUI. Think of FCI, or federal contract information, as the stuff the government doesn't want just anyone to see. Then there's CUI, or controlled unclassified information, which is even more sensitive. This stuff is like the recipe for Coca-Cola or the nuclear launch codes, but probably not those things exactly. The point is, CMMC 2.0 is all about protecting this information. It's like the digital equivalent of those giant vaults you see in spy movies, but instead of lasers and sharks, it's firewalls and multi-factor authentication. All right, so what's new in CMMC 2.0? Well, the DoD heard your collective groans about the complexity of the original CMMC, and they decided to simplify things. Don't get too excited, it's still the government we're talking about. First off, they've streamlined the certification levels. Remember those? They were like levels in a video game, except instead of unlocking cool weapons, you unlocked more paperwork. Now, there are only 3 levels, which is still 2 more than anyone wants, but hey, we'll take it. Second, they've made some changes to the assessment process. Before, it was like trying to get your cat to wear a tuxedo, messy and full of resistance. Now it's supposed to be more straightforward, although we'll believe it when we see it. Finally, and this is a big one, they've introduced the concept of self-assessments. That's right, in some cases you'll be able to assess your own cybersecurity posture. Just try not to let the power go to your head. Okay, let's break down those 3 new certification levels, shall we? Level 1 is like the cybersecurity equivalent of locking your front door. It's basic, but it's better than nothing. Level 2 is where things get a bit more serious. This level is for companies handling CUI, so it's important. It's like having a security system, a guard dog, and maybe even one of those laser grids that you always wanted as a kid. Level 3 is the big leagues. This is for companies dealing with the really sensitive stuff, the kind of information that could make a hacker drool. Think of it as Fort Knox levels of security, but instead of gold, it's your grandma's secret cookie recipe, which, let's be honest, is probably just as valuable. Now, the level your company needs to achieve depends on the type of information you handle and the contracts you're going for. So if you're just sending emails with contract details, you're probably safe with level 1, but if you're developing top secret weapons systems, well, you better get cracking on level 3. Section 5, hold your horses, timing and compliance. Now you might be thinking, John, this all sounds great and terrifying at the same time. When do I need to be compliant? Well, hold your horses, buckaroo, because the DoD hasn't released the final rule yet. They're hoping to have it ready by 2024, which in government time could mean anything from next week to the next decade. But once the final rule is published, there will be a grace period. This isn't a free pass to procrastinate, though. Use this time wisely to get your cybersecurity house in order. And remember, even though the rule isn't finalized, you should already be thinking about cybersecurity. Because the moment you start bidding on those defense contracts, you better be ready to show the DoD that you take their data as seriously as they take their acronyms. Section 6, Public Shaming, the important role of public comments. You know how sometimes the government does something and you're like, did anyone ask for this? Well, in this case, they actually do want your feedback. That's right, the DoD is accepting public comments on the proposed CMMC 2.0 rule. This is your chance to channel your inner armchair lawyer and weigh in on the things you like, the things you don't like, and the things that make you want to tear your hair out. Who knows, your comments might actually influence the final rule, or, they might end up in a filing cabinet somewhere in Washington, D.C. But hey, it's worth a shot, right? So if you have strong opinions about cybersecurity, government regulations, or just like complaining, now's your chance. The DoD is all ears, or well, eyes, since this is all in writing. Just try to keep it civil, okay? No death threats to the Undersecretary of Defense for acquisition and sustainment. They've heard it all before. Section 7, the clock is ticking, timeline for final rule. Now we know what you're thinking. Get to the point, John. When will this thing actually be official? Well, my impatient friend, the DoD is aiming to publish the final CMMC 2.0 rule sometime in 2024. Now, before you start doing your victory dance, remember that this is just a target date. It could change. It probably will change. This is the government we're talking about after all, but don't use that as an excuse to slack off. Start preparing now, because once the final rule drops, the clock will be ticking, and you don't want to be caught with your cybersecurity pants down. That's not a good look for anyone. Section 8, get certified or get out, the importance of compliance. All right, let's cut to the chase. Why should you even care about CMMC 2.0? Well, besides the obvious reasons like, protecting sensitive information and not being responsible for a major national security breach, there's also the small matter of those lucrative defense contracts. You see, once the final rule is in effect, CMMC 2.0 compliance will be a requirement for any company that wants to do business with the DoD. That's right, no certification, no contract. It's as simple as that. So if you're a defense contractor or you're thinking about becoming one, you need to take CMMC 2.0 seriously. This isn't just another bureaucratic hoop to jump through. It's about protecting our country's most sensitive information and ensuring that our military has the resources it needs to do its job. Section 9, resources. Because we're helpful like that, we know this is a lot to take in. But don't worry, you don't have to navigate the complex world of CMMC 2.0 alone. There are resources available to help you understand the requirements, assess your current cybersecurity posture, and develop a plan to achieve compliance. The DoD has a whole website dedicated to CMMC 2.0, although be warned, it's about as exciting as watching paint dry. You can also find helpful information from industry groups, cybersecurity firms, and even your friendly neighborhood IT guy, although maybe offer him a pizza first. The point is, you don't have to go it alone. There are people out there who can help you make sense of it all, and trust us, you're going to need all the help you can get. Section 10. What happens in Vegas could affect national security. Real-world examples. Still not convinced that CMMC 2.0 is a big deal? Well, let's take a look at some real-world examples of what can happen when cybersecurity isn't taken seriously. Remember that time a casino got hacked through its fish tank thermometer? No, we're not making this up. Hackers are constantly finding new and creative ways to exploit vulnerabilities, and the defense industry is a prime target. We're talking about state-sponsored actors, organized crime, and just your average Joe hacker looking to make a quick buck or steal some state secrets. The point is, cybersecurity is not something you can afford to ignore. The consequences of a breach can be devastating, both for your business and for national security. So, do yourself a favor and take CMMC 2.0 seriously. Section 11, the future of defense contracts. It's secure, hopefully. So, there you have it. The DoD's CMMC 2.0 is coming, and it's going to change the way defense contractors think about cybersecurity. It's a complex and ever-evolving landscape, but by staying informed, taking proactive steps, and maybe even shedding a few tears along the way, you can navigate these choppy waters and come out on top. The future of defense contracting is secure, but only if everyone does their part. So, let's all raise a glass or a firewall to a safer and more secure digital world. Cheers to that, and that's our show for tonight. We'll be right back next week where we'll be discussing the fascinating world of Oh, who are we kidding? We're going to be talking about something way more interesting than CMMC 2.0. But seriously, folks, cybersecurity is important. Don't forget about it.